Ever glanced at your blood test results, seen that line for Hematocrit or HCT and just kind of shrugged and moved on? Well, you're not alone. It's a super common number, but it's packed with so much information. Today, we're going to decode it because it tells this really crucial story about what's happening inside your blood. All right, let's get into it.
So, first up, let's bust a huge myth right out of the gate. Take a look at these two blood samples. On the left, we've got blood from someone who's perfectly hydrated. On the right, someone who's dehydrated. Now here's the kicker. The number of red blood cells is exactly the same in both of them. No difference at all. But because there's less watery plasma on the right, the percentage of red blood cells looks way higher. It's a perfect example of how this one number can be seriously deceptive. Context, it's everything.
Okay, so now that we've seen how that number can be a little bit of a trickster, let's get a really clear definition of what we're actually talking about. What is hematocrit? To put it simply, hematocrit is just a percentage of your blood that's made up of red blood cells. So if your level is, say, 45%, it just means that 45% of your blood is red cells, and the other 55% is all the other stuff, mostly plasma. So why do we care so much? Well, because those red blood cells are basically the oxygen delivery trucks for your entire body. So this number, it gives us an incredible snapshot of how much oxygen your blood can actually carry around.
Right, so what's a good number to have? Well, it's not quite that simple. There's no single magic number that's right for absolutely everyone. See, normal is actually a range, and that range can shift based on your age, your sex, and even what's going on in your life at that moment.
And this chart shows that perfectly. You can see men typically have a slightly higher range, which is partly due to hormones, but look at the range for pregnant women. It's noticeably lower. Now, this isn't a problem. It's actually a fascinating adaptation. Think of it this way. During pregnancy, the body ramps up production of blood plasma to support the baby. It's like adding a little extra water to a drink to make more of it. So even though the red blood cells get a bit more diluted, there's more total fluid volume. It's a really beautiful example of how incredibly smart our bodies are.
All right, now let's get to the real heart of it. What does it actually mean when your number falls outside of those normal ranges? This is where your hematocrit level really starts to tell a story.
So a high hematocrit means your blood is more concentrated with red blood cells than it should be. And like we saw at the beginning, the number one most common reason for this is just simple dehydration. Easy fix. But it can also be a flag that your body is trying to compensate for a lack of oxygen, maybe because of a lung or heart issue, or even if you live at a high altitude. In rarer cases, it might point to a more serious condition called polycythemia, where your body's just making way too many red blood cells.
Now, on the flip side, a low hematocrit almost always points towards some form of anemia. That just means you don't have enough healthy red blood cells to do the job. This could be from not getting enough nutrients like iron or B12, or maybe from some kind of blood loss. And hey, just like dehydration can falsely raise your number, drinking an absolutely massive amount of water can temporarily dilute your blood and make it look lower than it is.
Okay, but these numbers aren't just abstract data on a lab report, right? They have a direct, real-world impact on how you feel every single day. So let's connect the dots between the numbers and your actual life.
When your hematocrit is too high, your blood literally gets thicker, more sludgy. Imagine trying to suck a super thick milkshake through a tiny coffee stirrer. That's the kind of strain it puts on your heart and blood vessels. This can lead to things like headaches and dizziness. But the really critical thing here is that thicker blood is much more likely to form dangerous clots, and those clots can lead to something as serious as a stroke or a heart attack. This is why a high reading is something you absolutely have to take seriously.
And on the other end of the spectrum, a low hematocrit means your body is basically running on an oxygen debt. You're breathing just fine, but you don't have enough of those delivery trucks to get that precious oxygen where it needs to go. And the result? You feel exhausted, weak, and out of breath just doing simple tasks. Your heart might even beat faster trying to compensate. It's a full-body issue that can just leave you feeling completely and utterly drained.
So, we've broken down the number, we've looked at the normal ranges, and we've talked about what it actually feels like when things are off. So what's the big takeaway here? What should you be thinking about for your next doctor's visit?
This right here is the single most important thing to remember. Your hematocrit level, it's an incredibly valuable clue, but it is not the whole picture. It's not a final diagnosis. Think of it like a signpost on the highway. It points your doctor in the right direction. It's the start of an investigation, not the end of it. It just helps them ask the right questions to figure out what's really going on.
At the end of the day, understanding a number like hematocrit is really about learning to listen to what your body is trying to tell you. It's one piece of the puzzle that helps you and your doctor build a much more complete picture of your health. You're the lead detective when it comes to your own well-being. So the real question is, what will you ask your body next?